Welcome to Impact Innovations, where bold ideas meet real-world solutions. Join our host, Dr. Angela Gustis, as she dives in deep with thought leaders, change agents, and innovators who are making waves and moving mountains. So buckle up. Let's get ready to laugh, be inspired, and make an impact together.
Today, I had the honor of introducing Dawn Foster, CEO of D. Foster Marketing. With nearly 20 years of global branding and marketing expertise, she's been recognized as an Austin Women's Way Business Award finalist and listed among LinkedIn's most influential Black women. Dawn is a passionate expert in research and storytelling, having launched over 120 brands and mentored dozens. She's dedicated to empowering business owners through strategic branding to help them achieve success and win.
Well, Dawn, I am so super excited to have you hang out today. You're 100% one of my favorite people and so hilarious. And I know we're going to have a good time talking about a topic that people may not automatically tie to like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun and hilarious talking about marketing. But knowing you, it is going to be, oh my gosh, this is so freaking hilarious. So, thank you, Charity, for the introduction. I really appreciate you. Let's just go ahead and just start really rolling. I want to sort of just jump first into if we've read your bio and all those good things, but like, why did you get into marketing? Like, let's just sort of start there. Like, how did this become a thing for you? And I 100% know that I did not tell you I was going to ask that question. So take a second.
No, it's fine. Well, first, I have to remind myself to be on my best behavior because I know you. So I'm like, Dawn, like, pull it together for this.
But we're going to have fun, so it's all good.
We will. This will be fun. How did I get into marketing? So I will try to make this story as short as possible. I actually started college as an interior design major. From the age of 7, I thought I was going to be an interior designer.
And that makes sense because you are fabulous, but go ahead.
Thank you. But I had a bad professor, which ended up being a blessing because I ended up switching my major to graphic design. And I got my degree in graphic design with a focus in marketing, and I probably spent the first 6 years of my career on the design side. And then when I saw how the marketing machine works, I worked on a team that had buyers, analysts, web team, print team. I saw all of the things. So seeing the analytics and all that drives what it looks like, sounds like, that's when the magic happened. And then I made the transition to more of the strategic side. And now that I have my own business, I get to do the strategy and the marketing and tell people what to do when it comes to the design part.
Not tell people what to do. I love it. And I've never heard that story. So that is really cool. And it totally makes sense that you started in interior design and transitioned into marketing. Like, you make sense on a whole different level. And I appreciate you. All right. So let's just sort of dive into it. So marketing is a challenge for small businesses across the board. It's a challenge for big businesses, but especially small businesses because, the budget is small. Oftentimes people don't understand the difference between even marketing and sales. And I'm speaking from experience, right? After 11 years in business, it was probably year 6, 7 where I was like, oh, like marketing and sales isn't the same thing because people say marketing and sales, so it's like, so thinking about it like that, what are some of the common mistakes? Like, let's just sort of jump in. Like, what are some of the biggest things that you oftentimes see out the gate when you start working with small to mid-sized businesses?
There are several answers for this. Sometimes people know what they do, but they don't know who their target audience is.
Okay.
And that not knowing who your target audience is and not having a strategy when it comes to your marketing are two big gaps that people have.
Okay.
Knowing who your target audience is going to drive everything for your marketing.
Gotcha.
Because you end up showing up in places where the people who care about your product, your service, which you offer, you end up showing up in places where those people don't live. And then people start to wonder, well, why isn't this working? It's because that's not where your target audience is going to find information about what you do, who you do it for. The dots aren't connecting there.
Got it. And I know one of the things that you and I have also talked about, I also learned about it when we did and just to sort of go back, I guess we didn't really talk about this. You and I met doing the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. And I know one of the things that we've talked about is like that difference between understanding who that target audience is and, like you said, where to find them, but also understanding target segments as it relates to marketing. So if you could sort of talk about the difference between those two, because I know for me that was game changer to like understand that whole concept of building a persona is like, oh,
yeah,
okay, it's making sense. You know what I mean? So if you could just sort of speak to that just for like a few seconds, that would be awesome.
Sure. So first, I'm going to go back to make sure that it's understood where we are when I say target audience.
Okay.
So when it comes to owning a business, there's some type of problem that you are solving. Your target audience is really, for easy definition, the people who have that problem.
Okay.
The people who have that problem are your target audience. And then from there, we break those into different personas. A target audience can be a woman in their mid-30s with small children, all the way to a man in his late 60s, divorced, two totally different lifestyles that they live. Creating personas from those target audiences gives business owners and marketers an actual person to envision when they are working on their marketing tactics. So if I'm marketing say I provide sleep aids. Actually, let me pause this here. Let me come up with a good example.
So can I be selfish?
Yeah.
I mean, I have you here. Can I use
Go
me?
for it.
Right. Okay. So just saying, I mean, if we could do this, let's do it. No, for in Geotech, for our elder monitoring. So like we have elder monitoring and we have the platform with all the different sensors to sort of monitor falls, monitor activity in the home, stuff like that, where our target audience really goes from families with kids with autism that use this technology all the way through to individuals who want to continue to live independently by themselves. Then we also have those families who have moved mom in and want to take care but still work, so they need to know what's going on in the house when they're gone. So it really, that would, like, our target audience, like you were saying, is huge. But then you have those target personas, and that's the interesting part of figuring that out. So yeah, if we could be selfish and I just, using Geotech.
So with that audience, you started with families who have kids with autism.
Mm-hmm.
Their issues, concerns, their motivators look totally different than the person who is elderly and wants to live on their own and still manage themselves without assistance from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Their concerns and the family's concerns are going to be totally different than the daughter who may want to look out for mom, but still have mom feel like she has her independence. How you speak to all three of those people about the same product is going to be totally different.
And that was game changer. Learning that from you, learning that in the Goldman Sachs program. I mean, it was game changer because we were like, oh, and going back to your point that you made earlier, they live, for lack of a better word, or can be found in different places where, grandma wanting to continue to live on your own, you may find her at a senior center doing a presentation versus, you know what I mean? So it's like that makes total sense what you're saying. Yeah.
Sounds like you've really been understanding your marketing and who your target audience is.
I learned from the best, dude. I learned from the best. It's like having people like you around as a part of this process. And I think that's speaking from my experience, and this will sort of roll right into the next question. You know, with such a such a small budget, I never realized that it was possible to bring someone in to talk through these things, even if we're going to do our own social media, even if we're going to develop our websites, even if we, even if we have those talents. And I think that's one of the problems. And when I say problem, I'm speaking of myself because I know how to build websites. I know how to handle social media, but I don't know how to tell the story. I don't know the target audiences and the this and the that and all those things. And so that's where I would fall off. You know what I mean? It's like we were basically doing PR, hoping that it would auto translate into sales, not doing anything related to marketing. And that's what I've learned through working with you and understanding branding and how to develop those branding identities through telling your story. So, sort of giving myself my own little segue, having a strong brand identity for small business, what are some simple things that you can think of or that you could share with a small business about how to really refine, not I said twice, sorry, but how do you refine your branding in a way that's going to really develop the identity? Like just keep it simple. I'm trying to add words when it's not necessary.
So I'm a brand snob. Branding is, I believe that a good marketing strategy means nothing without solid branding. You cannot have marketing if you don't have branding in place. Typically, if we are helping a business and they come to us for marketing, the first thing we do is make sure that they have the branding to really withstand any type of marketing that we do for them.
That makes total sense.
So with the branding, there are a few things that need to be in place before you can even market your business. I call it being a brand keeper. And that's really holding the integrity of what your brand stands for. What your brand stands for is going to be your core pillars, your mission, your vision, your values, your why. The problem that you solve, the greater good that you want to make sure that you are delivering when it comes to your business. Those are the things that are in addition to your logo, your colors, all of the photography that you're using for your business, the imagery, textures, patterns. The other thing that people don't think about with branding is really about shaping perception. So it's the actions that you are taking to shape what other people think about your business.
Wow.
So we've talked about core pillars. We've talked about imagery. So branding is also the level of service you provide, how you treat people. And then the part of branding that you have less control over is what other people say about your business.
Wow. That
pause.
Yes. I know I'm taking it all in. Absolutely. So, I mean, that makes total sense. And I think that's a piece that people they don't always think about, when they think of branding. When they think of branding, they think of logos and how your website looks pretty, but it's how you treat people. What's your customer service like? That's a part of your brand. And one of the things that Kim, who is on our team as well, Kim Lightfoot, who handles HR is a part of your branding, because if you're not taking care of your staff aren't taking care of your clients. And if you're not taking care of your clients are definitely taking care of those reviews. And so branding is not just about the imagery and the website. And I'm so glad that you brought that to the conversation, because I do think that oftentimes that can be a piece of the strategy that people don't always think about. Not that they don't think about the
for sure.
importance of customer service. They may think about that, but they don't tie it to their branding. And if you're not tying it to your branding, then you're not using it as a part of your story. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
There are so many layers that people don't even think about. So in a larger company, so you mentioned earlier that you think of sales and marketing as the same thing. Larger companies, they work together.
I used to, but my friend Dawn helps me understand the difference. So let's be clear.
I call them cousins, depending on the industry. They do work hand in hand together. So marketing will work with sales. Marketing will work with customer service. Marketing also, and when I say marketing, usually in companies, it's the marketing team that handles the branding. So I'm going to bring this back around to branding. Marketing will work with the customer service team. Marketing will work with HR. Marketing works with HR because it's also important how your internal team members view the company, view the brand, because that is also connected to the experience that customers have with the business.
So
there's also internal branding that happens. Working with the customer service team and the sales team, those are the people who are out and about touching customers, clients typically. So it's important to work with them to know what the people are saying so you can have a current idea of how other people are perceiving the brand, which then impacts branding efforts.
That makes total sense. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and as a business owner, you're going to totally understand what I'm about to say. When Kathy and I started CMAG, we were HR, we were accounting, we were customer service, we were janitorial, we were IT. We took out the trash, scrubbed the toilets. You do everything. So how, as like a small business, or like, a very large percentage of the folks that we work with at CMAG and Associates are, in the behavioral health space. So we work with a lot of like therapists or psychologists who are starting their own practice, may have one or two other clinicians that work with them, and then that's it, right? And so like, how do you compartmentalize these different areas? So if you don't have a customer service team and an HR team and, a client services team or what have you, you're kind of a little bit of everything. How would you, like, what would you say are like some of the things that are cost-effective strategies that a sole proprietor or someone even with a team of 3 or 4 people could use to try to address some of those elements?
So you gave an example of yourself earlier where you did what I would recommend other people doing. You mentioned that you know how to build a website, you know how to post on social media, but having someone that can help you see the larger picture of things so that you understand the intent behind it, why you're doing it, especially as a business owner, how that piece of the branding and marketing puzzle fits into and helps drive every other aspect of your business. Having that larger view where someone can give you a full strategy of, okay, based on your industry and the market analysis, this is your target audience. And now here are the personas. This is how these personas think, how they behave, their discretionary income, what their decision-making process looks like. Once you understand all of that, first of all, without any clear direction with then what to do when it comes to marketing, once you have a clear view of that, a lot of other things really just start to make more sense. You can make better decisions when choosing how to market your business.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So then once you have all of that information, someone can provide you with a strategy of, okay, now that we know who your target audience is, who your personas are, when you write a blog, here's how that blog should look. And here are the talking points that you should include. And this is the persona that is going to read your blogs. When you're on social, this is the persona that shows up in the social space. These are their issues. So your content strategy should make sure that you're checking off on all of their concerns, what their considerations are. If you have strategic partners, these are the specific partners that you should be working with because they have overlap on who your target audience is, who your personas are. Once someone comes in and gives you that larger picture, you can then start to prioritize, okay, now based on all the resources that I have, the team of 1 to 5, here's how we can start implementing these things.
Wow.
This is a nice marketing mix of 3 different efforts that we can get done with the resources that we have.
That makes total, like, I so think that, in full disclosure and being 100% transparent, and people that listen to us talk know that I'm very transparent to a fault sometimes. I wish that I had done that much earlier in my mind. And that's why I wanted to really have this conversation with you. And I'm so crazy excited to have 5,000 more questions. So we're definitely going to be doing a second episode without a shadow of a doubt. But what you're talking about is really just investing in having someone help you think through those strategies, even if you can't afford someone to actually do all the work. And that is huge because so many of us, and I say us because I know I was in that same space, I was afraid of what marketing looked like. Because whenever someone would talk about marketing, I would just, like, Kathy she does this all the time. Whenever we're talking about stuff, she'll just be like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And, and I get joked, and I don't know what it is. It's something I got from my father. It's so random. But like, I lie to you not, my forehead starts itching when we start talking about me. Like, I'll be in meetings just rubbing my forehead like, oh God. So it's like whenever someone would talk about marketing, I was just like, oh, we don't have money for that. Because in my mind, I'm thinking tens of thousands of dollars or having a whole nother staff person to handle marketing. But what you're talking about is bring a consultant in to help you figure this stuff out and put a plan together. And then once you start making the money, you bring them in to take that over, similar to how when we first started, I was cleaning toilets and doing this, that, and the other. But like,
now you got a cleaning service
crew. I got IT. Thank you, Keith Barney. If you ever need, IT services, he's absolutely wonderful. But like, you can bring these different consultants in to do this work once you've started making that money, but you have to make that initial investment, at least in having someone help you put together those strategies. And that's huge. Like, what you're saying is game changer. Because someone coming up with money to be able to bring like a one-time thing, or people doing startup work, building that into a startup grant to have someone come in and develop marketing strategies, that's huge. Yeah, that's dynamic.
I want to chime in here because as we talk with our business owner hats on, one of the things that I always tell myself is if I'm not going to invest in myself and this business, why am I expecting other people to?
Come on now.
So if I don't pay to have a financial advisor, a fractional CFO, a business, if I don't pay for those things, that essentially means I don't believe in myself. I don't believe in my business.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get that information and I'm going to make it work.
Yeah.
So if I'm not investing in those things, but I tell other people you should buy my service, I want you to invest in my company, but I'm not going to invest in my company. Those two don't make sense together.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you. We invest in our craft, we invest in websites, we invest in like some things, but there are other things that are pieces of the puzzle that will help us to scale, help us to grow, help us to get to the point where we don't have to be cleaning our own toilets. I use that because that was the part of my job I hated most. Cleaning bathrooms behind other people. Oof. Yeah. Anyway, I'm back. I'm back.
So with that, with hiring someone for a consulting role to get that upfront education about what you need to know to move forward. If you take that upfront expense and break that down by year, by month, how long how long that information will get you from where you are now to the next set of goals that you may have, that number ends up being pretty small. So a strategy, if you pay a few $1,000s for a strategy, but that strategy lasts you, here we go, I'm getting into math. That strategy lasts you for 3 years. If you break that down into months, it's actually not that much money of what you're investing in that's going to last you for such a long amount of time.
That's a really good point.
And the knowledge never goes away.
No.
Then you just start building on top of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we sort of put our pinky toe into the storytelling piece, but like, I really want to sort of dive into that a little bit more. You know, when we start talking about telling the story, and people say this all the time, and I want to talk about it as it relates especially to online, you know, and online, like having that online presence and telling your story online. And what is that like? First of all, let's back it all the way down. Like, what does it really mean to tell your story through digital marketing? Like, what does that really actually mean? Because people throw that out all the time. You have to tell your story. You have to tell your story. Like, what does that really mean?
So for me, it means you're giving people a reason to choose you.
Oh,
People spend their money with businesses that they believe in. They can get behind that company. There's something about that business that they connect to.
okay.
Telling your story gives whoever is considering you a reason to choose you over your competition. Telling your story is part of your overall branding.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So if you were to give us maybe 2 or 3 things that you would say are really important with digital marketing as it relates to telling your story, what would those be if you had to give somebody a little bit of advice? I know.
Meaning, let's see. Meaning where to tell their story?
I mean, if I said to
Or
you,
can I just go anywhere?
Just have a ball with it. Whatever you think makes sense.
So, well, I may start rambling. So bear with me.
It's all good. It's all good.
Especially when it comes to small businesses specifically. Small businesses and local businesses. That's my sweet spot because it gives you the opportunity to tell your story, connect with who your people, your target audience, the people you serve, the people whose lives you're making easier with what it is that you do. Telling your story is one of the best things that you can do. It creates brand loyalty. My therapist, shout out Bianca, that girl ain't going nowhere.
I love it.
We are not breaking up. We are sticking together. We've been through too much. This is it. And it's because she's connected with who I am as a person. She gives me just enough to make me, I've already picked her, but now I ain't going nowhere. We go together real bad.
I love it.
And if you think about it, everyone has that business where you're connected with them. You may pass over another business that may be cheaper, a little bit more convenient, but you've chosen someone else. Typically, that's through their branding, the storytelling that they do that has made you say, okay, this is who I want to give my dollars to. This is who I can put my trust in. So in a digital marketing space, doing that digitally, you can do that through video content. You can give people something to feel like they can emotionally connect with you some way, somehow. A website works wonders. I often say that your website's your 24/7 salesperson.
Mm.
So using that space to tell your brand story, you can give them a little taste of it in email, but then drive them over to the website. You can give them another taste of it in video and still drive them to your website.
Okay.
It's the opportunity to tell people not just what you do, but how good you are at it, how you may have changed someone's life, what your wins are. It's an opportunity to brag on yourself, to show that what you're proud of and how you're making a difference in other people's lives.
Okay. Wow. That's good. That's good. So if you don't mind, I'm going to derail the conversation for about 2 minutes, if that.
Sure.
You touched on something and said something that really hit me. And this is, and I know I'm stepping into a space that we didn't even talk about or anything, but you talked about your therapist and you talked about investing in you. And I think that is such a huge and important piece of the puzzle that I don't want to just glance over. Because I too have been in therapy, and because I recognized that there were things that I wanted to deal with, and as I call it, muck that I needed to clean up so that I could be my best, right? And that's the piece that I think sometimes that we as business owners really sometimes miss the mark on. People talk about self-care all the time, especially with entrepreneurs. Like, oh, you have to have self-care. You know, spend some time getting your nails done. Hush your noise. That's not self-care. Self-care, I'm sorry. Not that it's not important. You know, I don't want to offend anybody. Go get your nails done. But taking that time and investing in yourself to deal with whatever you have in your world so that you can be your best self for your business, for your clients, is game changer. When you can deal with that stuff so that as you grow your team, that stuff, that those experiences, good, bad, and ugly, right, don't come to work with you. Because there's something that happens, and you said this in the very beginning, you know, I enjoy being able to tell other people what to do. When you step into the world of leadership, when you step into being a business owner, there's a certain power that it just automatically comes with that. But with that power will easily ease some of the muck if you have not addressed it. So I just wanted to sort of highlight that for just 2 minutes, because I think it's something that's so important. And it'll probably be a whole entire another episode that I've just stumbled into, you know, but, and, you know, so I thank you for even bringing that up or being so transparent about it. I mean, you and I have had lots of conversation about the topic, but I just wanted to sort of highlight that and talk about the importance of it, because I don't think that people don't talk about therapy and the importance of it as it relates to entrepreneurship nearly as much as I think that it should be. Because when the stress that you deal with as an entrepreneur, getting a business up and running, it's a lot. Like, I don't know how people grow a business successfully and haven't had a therapist.
Yeah.
Like, that's just real. And I know this is not marketing. I know I've totally derailed the conversation, but I feel like bringing that into the conversation is such an important part. And again, we can have a whole nother conversation just about that and bring a therapist in and just go to town. We can bring in Bianca. Let's just do it. I'm just saying.
I feel I'm very passionate about, especially as an entrepreneur, I'm very passionate about making sure that I'm taking care of my mental health. Because Dawn, the entrepreneur, so my business is turning 7 this year.
Congratulations. That's what's up.
Thank you.
I almost started clapping.
I have had
That would have been really loud in the mic. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
who I've had to become as a business owner is a totally different person than who I would say regular Dawn was.
Mhm.
Having to work through, like you talked about, I had a boss who, till this day, I remember him saying this to me, as a leader, you are always on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So as you said, the good, the bad, the ugly, as a leader, someone running the company, all of that is going to show up if you don't know how to check it.
Yeah.
And working through that with someone helps you check it, helps you show up as your best self. Because as the leader, if I come to work with all my baggage on my back,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on stage and my team
Mhm.
will see that they feed off of that same energy. As a leader, you set the tone, and it's important that you're conscious of how you're behaving, what you're doing, said and unsaid, so that you can set the right tone for your business. Because I'm not clapped. It's all about the branding.
It is. And at the end of the
It's all
day,
about the branding. Yeah.
And I know this is a weird connection that none of us probably thought we would talk about in this conversation. But when you start talking about the importance of HR and your staff as it relates to your brand, you have to talk about the importance of your own mental health as you lead HR and your staff, because that is your brand, right? It's not that Angela Augustus is the brand of CMAG, because I'm not. But I am the brand of how we run things. And if I'm not right, it's hard for everything else to be right. And, so even something like taking care of yourself and even investing in therapy, it really actually is a part of your brand and a part of your story. It may not be the part that you tell. Like, I'm not going to necessarily put on the CMAG and Associates website. And I've been in therapy. You know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with it, but exactly. Like yesterday, Danica said, but, it is a part of the big picture. So I had to bring it up. And I know we kind of put a whole segment in that wasn't even supposed to be in there.
Yeah, we did.
So let me pull it back. The last thing I really wanted to sort of talk about, and it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily like to address, but it really can be game changer, and that's technology and automation. Because there are some really great tools out there that can help with automation of social media, automation of the workflows when someone comes to your website. Like, there's so many pieces. So if you could just, and I know that's a whole conversation, a whole entire conversation in itself, but like, if you could talk about, like, if someone had to say, okay, I need to invest in these 2 or 3 tools, and you don't have to say a brand per se, unless there is one that's a favorite that you want to push. But, what are some tools that you would say, what, new entrepreneur, you should automate this, or you should have a platform that you use to automate that? What would those things be that would really help that person?
So it'll be a combination of tools and a little bit of operations and process.
Okay.
And this is a recommendation I usually make across the board. When our clients come to us, there's usually our starting point. There's usually a mix of 3 different marketing tactics that we start with. And we do 3 because 3 is more powerful than just doing one individual touch point. Those 3 are some type of long form content, such as a blog. That is to make sure that your website, your SEO is continuing to stay healthy. The second one is email. And that's so that you can have continuous touch points with people who are in your business ecosystem, your CRM, for acquisition and retention purposes.
Can you tell us what CRM is?
Customer relationship management system.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I knew it because I learned from the best, but I wanted to make sure our audience knew what you meant by CRM.
And the third one social media, and that's because almost every single demographic touches at least one of the platforms when it comes to social media. Making sure you're checking off the boxes with those three, process and procedure comes into place with that long form content and writing and social media. It's batch creating your content. It's setting time aside to write a blog, write your social posts, have your supporting visuals, to then schedule for those to go live over the next 30, 60, 90 days. And yes, 90 days. We will go that far out.
Wow.
Once it's done, you can go back to thinking about all the other things that you need to do to run your business and really feel peace of mind, knowing that you've got some of that organic marketing, those touch points continuing to happen while you're paying attention to other things with your business.
That makes total sense. That makes a lot of
So-
sense.
With the batch content creation, that's your blog and your social media, and then scheduling your social media, scheduling your blog posts to push live, and email. You can schedule your emails and automated emails. Automated emails are based on what people have or have not done when it comes to interacting with your business. A lot of different website building tools and providers allow you to set up certain triggers so that something will happen in a X amount of time based on how someone has interacted with your business.
Okay.
So between process of batch content creating, scheduling, and then setting up automated email marketing, those are the three that I usually tell business owners at least foundationally start here.
Okay. And those are things that you can set up. Like you said, you can sort of set it and forget it for the most part. Once you've sort of created the content and gotten it scheduled and all the, I mean, there's still other work you need to do, but it's not every week trying to come up with a blog post.
Correct.
Or every 2 days trying to put out something on social media.
Correct.
Or, because that's the part that gets scary. And oftentimes we'll do a really good job for like 3 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh God, I haven't posted in like 5 days, and then it turns into 10 days. And, and I say this because I'm telling my story. I'm not making nothing up. So I get it. I get it. So, I know we're definitely running into time. In our last maybe minute or two, what are some, are there some tools, books, resources, or something that you would recommend someone to either read or go to as it relates, aside from going to DeFoster Marketing, because we'll definitely talk about that. But like, are there any other books or websites or anything that you would say, go here to get some help?
Oh man, what a question.
I know it's a tough one. I know.
I don't know if I have an answer for that.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's really because I think that there are some classic things.
Okay.
But today, as a person in branding and marketing, I really focus on human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And I pay attention to how our expectations change and evolve, and what our responses are to things, and how we are just engaging with the world around us. I take that information and pair it with the trends. I've been on the planet for 40 plus years now, the trends of how things come and go.
Mm-hmm.
And because everything's rooted in who your target audience is, a lot of that can be done by just paying attention to the world around you, looking beyond what any marketing may be saying to you, and trying to dissect, okay, why did they include this person? Why did they choose that music? Why are they purchasing this ad space on this platform or at this time or in this environment? it helps to tell me who they're trying to talk to, who their target audience is. I have a lot of real world information that I'm consuming now in terms of the branding and marketing space rather than books and resources for entrepreneurship.
Well,
but not so much for marketing.
But I think you, despite the fact that it wasn't like a magic bullet book, but I think that you hit the nail on the head that it isn't a magic bullet book. It's not like it's something that's that simple, you know, like developing in the accounting world, developing a profit and loss statement is developing a profit and loss statement. And you can get a book that can teach you what is a profit and loss statement, and you develop your profit and loss statement. Branding and marketing is just not that clean, for lack of a better word, or simple.
Yeah.
And I think you hit the mark when you said it's really about human behavior and understanding the behavior of your target audience. And that also goes back to what you talked about with personas, because if you think about those personas, that helps you to think through, okay, so someone that meets these criteria or that fits this persona, where would they go to get information?
Yep.
And so it's not about a specific book. It's about taking the time to brainstorm. So it's not the books, it's the brainstorming that would really help someone to think. And I know I look at marketing in a very different way. Like, why did I buy those shoes? What did they do to get me to buy those shoes? Because I've worn them once and they're not even that comfortable. Like, how did I?
Like, you're considering them right now. Like, these are the shoes you have.
Like, you know what I mean? And so, but then I'm like, oh, you know what? But I saw these shoes on such and such a person. And you know what I mean? So it's like, but taking that time to really brainstorm how this thing called marketing works. And marketing, one thing I've noticed is a lot of people in sales and marketing have backgrounds in behavioral health. That is something I've definitely noticed, because the more you understand people, the more you understand branding and marketing. So, I mean, I think that's just a dynamic space to sort of, I'll say pause, not end in, because I know we're going to do some other conversations. I definitely want to dive into, you know, like we both work together with a lot of behavioral health organizations and talking about how branding and marketing tie into things like HIPAA and how to make sure that we're being HIPAA compliant when we're building out those websites, when we're interacting with people and things of that sort. One that I would love to dive into is the use of AI in marketing and branding and developing copy and stuff, because you see, I know, right? Because you see a lot of people talk about like, oh my God, I wrote this whole book using such and such and such and such in 5 minutes. Like, I don't really feel right. You know, but I mean, I'm sure there are people that are doing it and stuff. So, I mean, those are two topics I would absolutely love to have you back to talk about. This has been so much fun. I know this is probably the longest recording we've done to date, but I feel like we got into some really good stuff and even, you know, went off on a bit of a tangent there for a hot second. But I do want to, of course, wrap and make sure that people know who, you know, D Foster Marketing is, how to find you, how to connect with you. And we'll make sure also that we have that information posted when we, you know, on our different various platforms where our podcast lives. So if you could share that information, that would be absolutely wonderful.
Sure. So I can be found online. dfostermarketing.com is our website. Like you said, we specialize in helping service-based businesses, particularly those in the health, mental wellness space, private practices, dental, medical, etc. You can find us on LinkedIn. Since we've talked about target audience, that is where our target audience lives. That is our primary social platform.
Okay.
I'm trying to make it easy.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, this has been so much fun. I really have had a good time. I've actually been writing my own notes. And thank you for joining me today. This really has just been so many good nuggets and so much great information. So thank you. I look forward to having other conversations with you. And with that, we will say good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for listening. Join us next time for more Impact Innovations.